Commander Alexis Chen jolts awake to blaring alarms as her stealth corvette, Defiance, drifts through the debris of Earth's once proud defense fleet. The holographic displays flicker with damage reports while she replays the final moments of the battle. The hegemony warships descending on Earth like metallic locusts, their weapons carving through humanity's best defenses as if they were paper. Status report, she croaks, her throat raw from hours of shouting orders during the battle. The ship's computer responds in a measured tone. Life support at 63%. Main thrusters operating at reduced capacity. Stealth systems functional but compromised. Communications array damage. 7 hours of oxygen remaining at current consumption rates. Alexis drags herself from the command chair, wincing as pain shoots through her ribs. The medical scanner confirms 2 fractures, but nothing life-threatening. She has survived when thousands of other pilots didn't. Survivor's guilt threatens to overwhelm her until pragmatism takes over. She is no longer just a commander. She is the repository of Earth's tactical knowledge, the only officer with full access codes to the Defense Network's analysis of hegemony weaknesses. Through the viewport, Earth still shines blue and beautiful despite the invasion ships swarming its orbit. Occasionally, flashes of light mark the last desperate battles as ground forces continue fighting. The hegemony thought humans would surrender when their space forces fell. They underestimated human stubbornness. Plot all hegemony patrol vectors from available data, she orders, pressing a bandage to her bleeding forehead. The display lights up with enemy movement patterns, revealing a gap in their coverage near Neptune's orbit. Sloppy. The aliens believe their victory so complete they've already grown careless. Alexis accesses her command codes to retrieve the complete strategic database before the Earth Defense Command can wipe it remotely. The download completes just as she receives the final automated transmission from General Hammond. To all surviving vessels, Earth defense has failed. Implement Protocol Omega. Good luck and Godspeed. Protocol Omega. The words hang in the air like a death sentence. No surrender, no retreat. Any surviving military assets are to continue resistance by any means necessary. Humanity's last, desperate countermeasure against extinction. Computer, calculate fuel requirements for reaching Saturn's moons, Alexis says as she studies the hegemony fleet deployments. Their primary refueling station orbits the massive gas giant, vulnerable despite heavy protection. One person couldn't possibly inflict meaningful damage against an entire galactic armada. But then again, the hegemony had never faced humans before. The ship's medical system dispenses pain blockers and stimulants. As the drugs take effect, Alexis reviews what intelligence they've gathered about the 7 species collective that calls itself the hegemony. Each species brings different strengths. The insectoid Vex with their tactical precision, the massive Krell with their weapons technology, the crystalline Therans with their computational abilities. United, they've conquered 17 known civilizations. None had ever successfully resisted. They've never met humans. Alexis whispers to herself as she plots a course that will use Neptune's gravity to slingshot the damaged Defiance toward Saturn. The maneuver is risky, pushing the wounded ship's structural integrity to its limits, but it will conserve precious fuel and potentially confuse any pursuit. As Alexis straps herself in for the burn, she accesses the personnel files of Earth's defense forces, searching for any other vessels that might have escaped. The list of confirmed destructions scrolls endlessly. Her hands tremble, but her resolve hardens. If she is truly the last, then she will make her survival count. Begin engine sequence, she commands, and initialize fabricators for proximity mines. Let's show these aliens what one human can do. The Defiance's engines flare to life, pushing away from the graveyard of Earth's fleet and into the darkness between worlds. The hunt has begun. The hegemony commander Vextaran stares in disbelief at the smoking ruins of the Saturn Moon refueling depot. Security footage shows a single human vessel executing maneuvers his analysts claimed were physically impossible before vanishing again into the gas giant's rings. Replay the attack sequence, he orders, mandibles clicking with irritation. The holographic display shows the human ship emerging from the debris field, weaving between automated defenses like water flowing around stones. Not random evasion. There was pattern and purpose to every movement. Our sensors indicate the vessel was damaged before the attack, reports his second-in-command, a slender Theron whose crystalline form refracts light in anxious patterns. By all calculations, it should not have been able to penetrate our security grid. Vex Terran narrows his compound eyes. You still don't understand humans. They excel precisely when logic says they should fail. Meanwhile, Alexis guides the Defiance deeper into an ice canyon on Enceladus, the damaged ship groaning in protest as she powers down all but essential systems. The heat signature dampeners, her own modification to standard stealth protocols, should confuse hegemony scanners long enough for emergency repairs. Her hands move automatically through the maintenance procedures while her mind analyzes the data stolen during her strike. The neural interface specs confirmed what Earth's intelligence suspected. All 7 hegemony species operate through a unified tactical network that allows perfect coordination of their forces, their greatest advantage, and potentially their fatal weakness. Incoming patrol craft, warns the ship's computer. Estimated arrival, 3 minutes. Alexis secures her helmet and powers up the environmental suit. No time to complete repairs. She grabs the portable data core and the multi-tool she modified with smuggled Krell technology. Outside, ice geysers periodically erupt from Enceladus's subsurface ocean, creating a natural smokescreen. The hegemony hunters arrive in sleek insectoid craft designed for pursuit. Their scanners sweep the canyon systematically, following textbook search patterns. Alexis smiles grimly behind her helmet visor. Textbook approaches work against textbook opponents, something humans have never been. She waits until a patrol skims directly overhead, then triggers the remote detonator. The shaped charges she planted at the canyon rim don't target the patrol ships directly. Instead, they destabilize the ice wall. Tons of frozen water crash down, creating a chain reaction through the brittle surface. 2 patrol craft are crushed instantly. The others scatter in disarray. In the confusion, Alexis activates her suit's propulsion system, another custom modification combining human ingenuity with salvaged alien tech. She skims low across the icy surface, using the geyser's eruption schedule. She memorized to obscure her movement. Behind her, the Defiance's reactor initiates emergency overload. The explosion will destroy her ship, but eliminate any evidence of her survival. The hegemony will waste precious resources searching the debris, while she executes the next phase of her improvised plan. On his command vessel orbiting Saturn, Vex Terran receives reports of the explosion with skepticism. No body recovery confirmed. Impossible in these conditions, Commander. The human vessel's destruction was total. Then consider the human alive until proven otherwise. Vex Terran turns to his tactical display. This one is different. Analyze the attack pattern against all known human combat doctrines. I want to understand how one damaged ship bypassed security measures designed to repel entire fleets. As his analysts scramble to comply, Vex Terran studies the human pilot's file recovered from Earth's databases. Commander Alexis Chen, decorated officer, tactical instructor, and now the most dangerous guerrilla fighter in the solar system. A worthy adversary, he thinks, though he would never admit such respect for a human to his superiors. Across the vast distance of Saturn's orbit, both hunter and hunted prepare their next moves in a chess game played across the planets. The abandoned mining facility on Europa appears lifeless until Alexis transmits an old Earth emergency code. She waits in her stolen hegemony scout vessel, muscles tense and ready to flee at the first sign of trouble. The transmission repeats 3 times before a response flickers across her comm system. A simple binary sequence that translates to approach east quadrant, surface access 17B. Alexis pilots cautiously toward the coordinates, scanning for traps. The ice-covered moon reveals nothing but endless frozen plains until a section of surface suddenly retracts, exposing a narrow entry shaft. She descends slowly into darkness. Armed figures surround her vessel. As soon as it touches down in the underground hangar, human faces peer at her through improvised battle masks, civilians with mining tools converted to weapons. Their leader steps forward, a tall woman with burned scars across half her face. "Identify yourself and your purpose," the woman demands. Alexis removes her helmet. "Commander Alexis Chen, Earth Defense Fleet. I thought I was the only survivor until I intercepted fragmented communications from this sector." The weapons don't lower, but the tension shifts. A man pushes through the crowd, his gaunt face framed by unkempt gray hair. "I'm Dr. Elias Montgomery. These people were under my protection at the research outpost when the invasion came. We've been hiding here since." "Hiding won't save humanity," Alexis replies, retrieving the data core from her suit pocket. "I've discovered a weakness in the hegemony's command structure, but I need technical expertise to exploit it." Montgomery scoffs. One human against their entire military. "That's not courage, it's suicide." Perhaps comes a new voice, younger and bright with curiosity. A teenage girl steps forward, her eyes sharp with intelligence beyond her years. "But suicide missions are humanity's specialty when our backs are against the wall." "This is Kira," Montgomery explains with clear exasperation. "Brilliant but reckless, former engineering prodigy before the world ended." Kira approaches without fear, examining Alexis with frank appraisal. "You've modified hegemony tech to work with human interfaces," she observes, pointing to components on Alexis's suit. "I've been experimenting with similar hybridization." Dr. Montgomery didn't approve. "Because it's dangerous," the scientist snaps. Drawing their attention is exactly what. "They already killed Earth." Alexis interrupts, her voice steel. "What more can they take?" The gathered survivors exchange glances, decades of scientific caution warring with newfound desperation. Montgomery sighs deeply. "Show me what you found." Hours later, they gather around Montgomery's workstation, holographic schematics of the hegemony neural network floating between them. The scientist's initial skepticism has evolved into reluctant fascination. "It's theoretically possible," he admits, adjusting calculations. "Their system relies on quantum-entangled nodes for instantaneous communication across vast distances. If we could introduce a cascading feedback loop, we'd need direct access to a primary junction," Kira points out. "Those are only found on capital ships or major installations." Alexis nods. "That's why I need your help. My next target is their communications hub on Callisto, but the stolen scout won't survive another engagement." Montgomery studies her with new respect. "We've been salvaging parts from abandoned human outposts, experimental tech that never made it to production before the invasion. With modifications." Kira's eyes light up. "We could build you something they've never seen before." Meanwhile, aboard the massive hegemony command vessel, Vex Turan receives an unexpected communication. The High Council itself appears on his screen, their diverse alien forms arranged in a semicircle of judgment. "Commander," speaks the Krell representative, voice rumbling like distant thunder. "This human resistance has become an embarrassment. You are hereby granted special authority to end it, by any means necessary." Vex Turan bows deeply. "I will not fail." As their images fade, he turns to the tactical display, where the last known trajectory of the human commander has been analyzed 1,000 different ways. This hunt has become personal, a test of intellect against an adversary who refuses to behave according to any predictable pattern. "Where are you hiding now, Commander Chen?" he wonders aloud. "And what impossible thing will you attempt next?" The mining colony on Ceres falls silent, its hegemony garrison found drifting in disabled battle armor. Security recordings show only a brief power fluctuation before something moved through the corridors too quickly for cameras to capture. The only clue, a simple knight chess piece left on the garrison commander's console. Another one, Vex Taran mutters, adding the incident to his growing map of attacks. 27 strikes in 16 days, each bearing the same signature. His analysts search for patterns in timing and targets but find only beautiful chaos, a strategy designed by a mind that intentionally avoids patterns. His second-in-command approaches cautiously. The council demands updates, Commander. Tell them Commander Chen continues to exceed expectations. Vex Taran replies, studying footage from the latest attack. The human ship glimpsed briefly near Ceres looks nothing like the scout vessel reported destroyed near Saturn. This craft is smaller, faster, with a hull configuration unlike anything in their database. You sound almost admiring the subordinate ventures. Vex Taran clicks his mandibles in mourning. Understanding one's enemy is not admiration. The human employs strategies from Earth's military history, ancient techniques we dismissed as primitive. I've been studying them. On his private console glow translations of Sun Tzu, Clausewitz, and Machiavelli, human military philosophers whose insights suddenly seem prescient against the hegemony's predictable formations. Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt, Alexis pilots her new vessel, christened Phoenix by Kira, through a dense cluster of space rocks. The ship incorporates salvaged hegemony technology with experimental human designs that never reached production before the invasion. Its neural interface links directly to Alexis's thoughts, allowing reaction times that even the hegemony's best pilots cannot match. Callisto Communications Hub neutralized. She reports via encrypted channel to Europa. Their command structure is showing stress fractures. Regional units are beginning to operate independently rather than waiting for central authorization. Dr. Montgomery's voice crackles through static. The feedback loop is working. Each disrupted node forces their system to reroute, creating vulnerabilities elsewhere. But Alexis, they're adapting. Surveillance drones have increased throughout the belt. They're hunting you systematically. Good, Alexis replies, checking the Phoenix's unique sensor package, Kira's finest creation. Let them come. The trap springs 3 hours later. 6 hegemony pursuit vessels converge on her position from different vectors, cutting off all apparent escape routes. Their formation is perfect, designed by Vex Taran himself after studying human tactical manuals. Alexis smiles grimly. Predictable. She activates the gravitational disruptors hidden throughout the asteroid cluster during previous passes. Devices jury-rigged from mining equipment by Europa's refugees. The massive space rocks suddenly change trajectory, their carefully balanced orbits transformed into chaotic projectiles. The hegemony vessels, designed for precision in stable conditions, cannot compensate quickly enough. 4 are destroyed instantly. The 5th manages evasive maneuvers but collides with debris. Only the command ship, piloted by Vex Taran himself, narrowly escapes the asteroid storm. His vessel damaged and venting atmosphere. Vex Taran watches through failing sensors as the Phoenix approaches. He prepares for death, mandibles set in grim determination. Instead, the human ship extends a communication beam. "You fought well," comes Commander Chen's voice, clear despite interference. "But you're thinking like the hegemony. Start thinking like a human if you want to survive our next encounter." The Phoenix vanishes into the debris field, leaving Vex Taran alive in his crippled vessel, a deliberate choice that his hegemony training cannot comprehend. As recovery ships eventually reach his position, the commander stares at the tactical display where the human's last position blinks mockingly. For the first time in his distinguished career, Vex Taran feels something alien to his species. Tout. Encrypted messages spread through conquered human settlements like wildfire. They appear on dormant screens, whispered through repurposed communication devices, and sometimes simply written on walls. Stories of the lone warrior who continues to strike against the supposedly invincible hegemony. Most dismiss them as desperate fantasy until they witness the evidence themselves. Hegemony supply ships failing to arrive, occupation forces suddenly redeployed, and the unmistakable chess knight symbol appearing in the most secure locations. In the labor camps of Mars, a mine supervisor finds her access codes mysteriously changed, allowing 300 prisoners to escape before the alarm sounds. On Venus, atmospheric processors suddenly begin producing breathable air in human habitation domes that the hegemony had deliberately kept at minimal life support levels. Near Mercury, automated defense platforms inexplicably target their own patrol ships. Alexis watches the ripple effects of her campaign from the Phoenix cloaked position near Phobos. The neural network disruptors are working better than expected. Each successful attack forces the hegemony to isolate portions of their command structure, creating more vulnerabilities that she can exploit. "You've become a legend," Dr. Montgomery tells her during their encrypted communication. But legends attract attention. The Hegemony Council has issued new directives. They're implementing scorched earth policies against any settlement suspected of aiding you. Alexis's jaw tightens. That's why we need to accelerate the timeline. How's the main disruptor progressing? Kira's voice joins the channel. We've miniaturized it to neural implant size, but it still requires direct access to a primary node. You'll need to physically plug into their flagship systems. Then I'll find a way aboard. Alexis replies, already formulating plans. What's the status of the resistance cells? Growing faster than we can coordinate them, Montgomery says, a note of hope creeping into his usually cautious voice. Sabotage incidents have tripled in the past week. The hegemony can't determine which are your work and which are from inspired civilians. In the gleaming command ship orbiting Earth, the Hegemony Council convenes an emergency session. Holographic representatives of all 7 species flicker with agitation as reports flow in from across the solar system. This has gone beyond a single human nuisance, booms the Krell representative, massive fists slamming against an unseen surface. We face organized resistance on multiple worlds. The contagion of hope, observes the ethereal Theran counselor, light patterns shifting anxiously across its crystalline form. Most dangerous when spread among species prone to emotional decision-making. Vextorin stands silently as accusations fill the chamber. His recent failure to capture Commander Chen has damaged his standing, yet the Council cannot deny his unique insights into human strategy. You have studied these creatures most closely. The Council Prime addresses him finally. What measure will crush their spirit permanently? Vextorin considers carefully before answering. Humans draw strength from symbolism. Destroy their symbols, and you undermine their resolve. Hours later, the hegemony deploys their fearsome planet cracker weapon. The target, Europa, rumored haven for human scientists and refugees. The moon shatters spectacularly, visible from Earth's surface. A demonstration of power meant to extinguish hope. Alexis watches the destruction from the Phoenix, her hands trembling with rage and grief. The evacuation had been completed just hours before. Dr. Montgomery, Kira, and the others safely relocated to scattered outposts throughout the Jupiter system. But the psychological impact remains devastating. Her communication console lights up unexpectedly. An incoming transmission, directed specifically to the Phoenix despite its cloaking systems. When she accepts, Vextoran's alien features fill the screen. Was this your doing? Alexis demands, fury barely contained. A demonstration I advised. He admits, compound eyes studying her reaction. But I knew you would have evacuated your allies. You are too methodical to leave such an obvious base unprotected. You just killed a moon to prove a point. And you left me alive when you could have destroyed my ship. Vextorin counters. Neither action follows conventional military logic. Perhaps it is time we spoke directly, Commander Chen, before both our species reach the point of no return. Alexis broadcasts a message across all frequencies, the transmission bouncing between relay stations before the hegemony can trace its origin. Her face, composed and resolute, appears on screens throughout the solar system, both in human settlements and on hegemony vessels. This is Commander Alexis Chen of Earth, she begins, her voice steady despite the audacity of what she's about to propose. I offer myself in exchange for the safety of remaining human colonies. A single meeting, face-to-face, with the appropriate hegemony authorities. The broadcast triggers immediate chaos. On Europa's scattered refugee outposts, Dr. Montgomery watches in horror. She's lost her mind. He whispers to Kira, who studies the transmission with narrowed eyes. No, the young engineer replies, noting subtle details in Alexis's appearance. The commander wears a necklace never seen before, its pendant an innocuous piece of metal that Kira herself designed, the housing for the neural disruptor. This is the endgame. She's bringing the fight directly to them. The Hegemony High Council convenes within minutes of the broadcast, their debate uncharacteristically heated. The massive Krell representative advocates immediate acceptance, a chance to eliminate the troublesome human. The ethereal Theran counselor suspects deception. Other species voice their own concerns, creating a cacophony of alien disagreement. Vex Taren observes silently until addressed by the Council Prime. You have studied this human most closely, the Prime notes. What trap does she set for us? The most dangerous one, Vex Taren replies. She offers us exactly what we want, knowing we cannot refuse without appearing weak to the watching humans. He pauses, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. But I believe there is opportunity here beyond simple capture. Explain. Permit me to handle the exchange personally. Bring her to Earth orbit where billions of conquered humans will witness their champions surrender. The psychological impact will be more devastating than destroying a dozen moons. The council deliberates briefly before agreeing. Vex Toran receives full authority to arrange the meeting, with one condition. Failure means his execution alongside the humans. 3 days later, the Phoenix approaches Earth under heavy escort. From orbit, Alexis gazes down at her homeworld, its blue beauty marred by hegemony installations and the scars of invasion. 16 massive hegemony warships surround her small vessel, weapons locked on target, enough firepower to vaporize her instantly at the first sign of treachery. The flagship opens its docking bay, a maw of gleaming metal swallowing the Phoenix. Alexis touches the neural disruptor disguised as a pendant, confirming it remains undetected by the hegemony scans. Dr. Montgomery had explained the device's limitations. It requires connection to a primary node of the hegemony network, deep within the flagship. Getting there seems impossible, but impossibility has become Alexis's specialty. Armed guards escort her through massive corridors designed for beings larger than humans. The ship itself pulses with alien energy, every surface reflecting unfamiliar geometries and construction principles. Finally, they reach a vast chamber where Vex Taran awaits, his tall insectoid form imposing even without the ceremonial armor he wears. Commander Chen, he greets her, compound eyes reflecting her image. You show either remarkable courage or remarkable desperation. Is there a difference at this point? Alexis responds, studying her adversary directly for the first time. Your species has waged war across 17 systems. Mine is fighting for its very existence. We've moved beyond conventional tactics. Around them, members of the Hegemony Council observe through holographic projections, their diverse alien forms shimmering with suspicious attention. Indeed, Vex Taran agrees, which makes me wonder why you would surrender yourself to an enemy that has shown no mercy. Alexis meets his gaze unflinchingly. Because someone needed to ask the question no one has asked since your ships appeared in our skies. Why did this war begin at all? Aboard the Hegemony flagship, sophisticated scanners missed the microscopic disruptor nodes hidden in Alexis's bloodstream, waiting to be activated. She sits calmly in the interrogation chamber, surrounded by scanning equipment designed for species far different from humans. Your question is irrelevant, states the senior interrogator, a Theran whose crystalline form shifts colors with each syllable. The conquest of Earth was necessary preventive action based on clear intelligence. What intelligence? Alexis asks, maintaining the conversation while mentally tracking her location within the massive vessel. Dr. Montgomery's briefings suggested the neural network core would be positioned near the center of the ship, at least 40 levels below her current position. The Theron gestures and holographic displays activate around them. Intercepted communications revealing weapons development. Theoretical physics research capable of destabilizing spacetime. Military exercises simulating first strike capabilities. Alexis studies the information with growing disbelief. The documents shown are genuine research papers, scientific theory exploring quantum possibilities, not actual weapon designs. The military exercises were standard defensive drills, not invasion preparations. You invaded Earth because of theoretical physics papers, she asks incredulously. Those weren't weapon schematics. They were exploratory research, the kind of scientific inquiry all advancing species pursue. Uncertainty flickers through the Theron's color patterns. Vex Toran, observing from behind an energy barrier, steps forward. The Hegemony Council interpreted the research as evidence of imminent threat, he explains. Our protocols mandate preemptive action against emerging civilizations developing beyond their containment parameters. While humans interpreted your increased activity near our borders as evidence of hostile intent, Alexis counters. We were preparing defenses against what we thought was an inevitable attack. A moment of silence fills the chamber as the implications settle. Two species, each misinterpreting the other's actions, spiraling toward conflict that neither had originally intended. The interrogation continues for hours, growing increasingly hostile, as Alexis refuses to reveal the locations of remaining resistance cells. When guards attempt to use nerve induction tools, she activates the first phase of her plan. Nanites released through her perspiration that spread through the ship's ventilation system, causing minor system glitches throughout the vessel. Alarms sound. The guards are momentarily distracted. Alexis moves with trained precision, disabling two before the others can react. She seizes an alien weapon and seals the chamber door, buying precious seconds. Security breach on interrogation level. Blares the ship's automated system in multiple languages. All personnel implement containment protocols. Alexis accesses a nearby terminal, using techniques specifically designed to counter hegemony security. The ship's schematics appear, confirming her target lies 38 levels below. She moves quickly through maintenance corridors, exploiting the confusion caused by her nanite disruption. Vex Toran, monitoring her progress through ship sensors, finds himself conflicted. Protocol demands immediate recapture, yet he hesitates to give the order. She's heading for the neural core, reports his second-in-command anxiously. Of course she is, Vex Toran responds, studying the human's methodical advance through the ship. Not random violence or blind revenge. She moves with purpose toward a specific objective. Evacuate non-essential personnel from her path. I will intercept her personally. As Alexis fights her way deeper into the massive vessel, dispatching guards with precision rather than lethal force when possible, she encounters increasingly sophisticated defenses. Automated security systems, designed to stop boarding parties of dozens, prove insufficient against a single determined human moving unpredictably. Finally, she reaches the antechamber to the neural core, a vast spherical room where the combined consciousness of the hegemony's command structure merges with quantum processors. Here, Vex Toran awaits her, mandibles set in grim determination. You've come to destroy us, he states, weapon raised but not yet activated. Alexis reveals the disruptor device. No, I've come to make you understand us. The neural link lasts barely 30 seconds before emergency systems shut it down, but those seconds change everything. In that brief connection, the barriers between species fall away completely. Alexis experiences the vast, collective consciousness of the hegemony. 7 species united by shared purpose and ancient protocols designed to maintain galactic stability. She feels their genuine fear of humanity's potential and their rigid adherence to rules established millennia before Earth developed spaceflight. Simultaneously, Vex Toran and those connected to the neural core glimpse humanity through Alexis's memories. Earth's violent history balanced against profound capacity for empathy. Technological growth tempered by ethical debate. The chaotic, beautiful complexity of a species constantly reinventing itself. When the connection breaks, Alexis collapses to her knees, overwhelmed by alien perspectives, suddenly rendered comprehensible. Vex Taran staggers backward, his mandibles trembling with the shock of human emotions still echoing through his consciousness. "What have you done?" he whispers. "Created understanding." Alexis responds, her voice hoarse. "Something weapons never could." Throughout the massive vessel, Hegemony crew members pause in confusion, fragments of human experience lingering in their thoughts. In Earth's conquered cities, humans look up with strange new awareness of the aliens among them. The neural pulse has spread through the entire network, weaker at greater distances, but sufficient to disrupt centuries of assumptions on both sides. The Hegemony Council, most deeply affected by the direct neural connection, convenes in unprecedented disarray. Their perfectly ordered deliberations dissolve into passionate debate as 7 species process the implications of what they've experienced. "This changes nothing," insists the Krell representative, though his usual aggressive stance appears subdued. "The human violated our most sacred protocols, and revealed that our protocols may be flawed," counters another counselor. "We acted on incomplete information, as did they." Vex Taran, summoned to testify, stands before them with new conviction. "I have hunted Commander Chen across this system, studying her tactics and motivations. Today I experienced her mind directly. She could have destroyed our neural network permanently, but chose understanding over vengeance. This suggests possibilities our protocols never considered. On Earth, resistance cells receive unexpected communication from their hegemony overseers. The crushing occupation eases slightly as confused alien administrators struggle with newfound empathy for their human charges. Some hegemony soldiers refuse certain orders, questioning actions they previously performed without hesitation. 3 days later, as tensions teeter between renewed conflict and fragile possibility, Alexis finds herself in an unprecedented position, invited to address the Hegemony Council itself, with representatives of Earth's remaining government alongside her. "We have reviewed the data that led to this conflict," the Council Prime acknowledges, its ethereal form pulsing with subdued colors. "Evidence suggests mutual misinterpretation escalated to preventable violence. The question before us is whether reconciliation remains possible." Alexis steps forward, still weakened from her neural interface experience but resolute. "Humans have fought countless wars among ourselves over similar misunderstandings. We've learned that peace requires more courage than conflict. If the hegemony truly values stability, demonstrate it not through conquest, but cooperation. Your species remains dangerous," warns the Krell counselor. "Your potential for violence is matched by our potential for creation." Alexis interrupts. "Judge us by the future we can build together, not the mistakes of our past, or yours." In the observation gallery, Vex Taran watches with newfound respect. The human commander has accomplished what seemed impossible weeks ago, forcing the immovable hegemony to reconsider its fundamental assumptions. The negotiations continue for months, with setbacks and breakthroughs equally common. Gradually, occupation forces withdraw from Earth's major cities. Hegemony technology helps rebuild devastated regions, while human creativity offers fresh perspectives on ancient alien problems. 1 year after the invasion, Alexis stands with Vex Taran at the dedication of a memorial for all lives lost in the conflict. The structure, designed collaboratively by all 8 species, rises from the former battlefield of Geneva. One human against an entire galactic army, Vex Taran muses, using the human idiom with careful pronunciation. "You did not win through force of arms." "No," Alexis agrees, watching representatives of Earth and the hegemony mingle cautiously around them. "I won by making you see us as we really are, not as you feared we might be."